Before we proceed, once more I find it necessary to address the media. It may be you, it may not be you. Someone used a flashlight during the cross-examination of Mr. Johnson. You know, there is an order in place that no flashlight should be used in court. So I'm not going to try to go on a witch hunt. I am going to ask the relevant people to investigate. So I give an order that this be investigated so that we should know what is going on. Mr. Johnson, you're still under oath?
Yes, my lady.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you, my lady. Mr. Johnson, I just have to date and exact time because you asked about when you sent your note to Advocate Maritz. It was 6 March 2013 at 14:49. Would that accord with your knowledge?
That sounds accurate, my lady.
Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions.
Mr. Johnson, it was now put to you that you and your wife, after she gave evidence, that you two then came together and spoke about her version, and that assisted you in your evidence. That's how you understood it. Is that correct? By Mr. Roo.
I understood, my lady, that was the allegation.
Okay. So then you referred us to this statement, Exhibit 03. Do you have it in front of you?
Is it this one?
It's the third version of that statement. It's 03. Now, Mr. Roo pointed to 2 or 3 things. I'm going to point to 21 things where you can now, because of the allegations of recent fabrication, we can now corroborate yourself. 21. Shall we go through it with me?
Please do.
It indicates where you live. You still live there, and that was your evidence. We live in the Silver Stream estate, which borders on the Silverwood estate. Is that correct?
That is correct, my lady.
Good. Number 1. Number 2. Our house is built on the perimeter stand located on the boundary of Silver Stream and Silverwood's estate. Is that still so?
Absolutely, my lady.
And is it still your evidence? Was it your evidence?
Yes, my lady.
That's true. Our main bedroom window is approximately 6 meters away from the Silver Stream, Silverwood's boundary wall, and the bedroom window face a northeasterly direction. From a rough calculation, based on Google Maps, and what I understand to be Oscar Pistorius' house, our house is approximately 150 to 170 meters from Oscar's house. That was your evidence. That was your evidence.
That is correct, my lady.
Then, I'm not going to read every sentence, but I'm just going to read the important thing. Then you have a heading, recollection of events. Will you follow with me? If I read it wrongly, I'm just reading it because I think my voice is just a bit louder than yours. I was woken up by a woman's scream shortly after 3 a.m. on 14th February, estimating it was around 3:12, a few minutes before we called security at 3:16. That was your evidence.
That is correct, my lady.
That's number 4. 5. In the detail, I raised my head from the pillow to listen carefully and make certain that I heard correctly. That's number 5. Number 6. When I heard a woman scream again, I got out of bed and ran out onto the patio on the first floor. The patio door is approximately 10 meters from my bed. That was your evidence.
That is correct, my lady.
Number 7. While I stood outside on the patio, the woman was still screaming and shouted for help. That's what you wrote on the 6th of March last year, a year ago.
That is correct, my lady.
There was a short moment of silence, and then a man shouted for help.
That is correct.
And then at that point, my wife woke up as I got out of bed, shouted at me, "Don't just stand there." That wasn't your evidence before court.
I'd have to accept that.
But you phoned security. That was your evidence.
That is correct, my lady.
And your wife dialed the number.
That is correct, my lady.
And then there are two unbelievably important things, and the next one I want you to read into the record. Now, in that paragraph, the last three lines, just read them carefully and loudly so everyone can hear.
Is it from...
I realized I had called.
It says, I realized I had called the wrong number and ended the phone call. I made the call from our main bedroom and can't recall if there were noises from the house while I was on the phone, as I was concentrating on the phone conversation.
Indeed. So, it was put to you yesterday that there's nothing in any statement saying that you did not concentrate or couldn't recall what was happening. But you did.
Yes, I did, my lady.
A year ago.
Yes, that is correct, my lady.
Then I rushed outside to the balcony after I ended the telephone call and again heard a woman scream.
That's correct.
Then the word moments. Moments after I got out on the balcony, I heard the shots and a woman screaming. Importantly, you wrote, while the shots were being fired.
That was my observation. That's correct.
Yes. The woman's screams continued in the moment after the last shot was fired.
That is correct. That's also my observation.
Then, I'm not dealing with that. Mr. Root dealt with that extensively about if your wife recalled 4 or 5 shots. But what's important is the next paragraph. After the shots were fired and the woman stopped screaming, it quietened down, and my wife commented that she thinks the man was killed by burglars, and that is why the woman screamed like that. That was the discussion you had before you wrote this.
That is correct, my lady. It was her comments immediately after the incident.
I'm not, as I said, I think there are more. I'm not going to read them all. I will now ask you to look at the heading, the morning after the incident. I could not sleep again after the incident on 14 February and stayed awake to make plans for improving our house security. I even took the measurements of our sliding doors so that I can order trailer door security gates. That's what you did, and that was your evidence.
That is correct, my lady.
The next paragraph deals with your call to Mr. Willem Vos. You wanted to call Mr. Willem Vos.
That is correct.
And then, I said there are one or two really important things. Now, this is a really important issue, and I want you to read it out. Please read out the next paragraph, starting with after Willem called.
I beg your pardon, please just repeat
After
that.
Willem called a few people, start there and read it out, please.
After Willem called a few people, he called me back and said that he had heard it was a domestic violence incident. I recall that I told him there is no way that what I had heard was a domestic incident. I said to him that I was convinced those people were attacked in their home, especially because we heard a woman and a man calling for help.
And then the last sentence. Just read the last sentence clearly.
Also, the screams did not sound like fighting, but more like panic and distress calls of someone being attacked.
See, that's where the cross-examination yesterday stopped by saying, why are you now describing the screams, you and your wife? It must be something that you thought out after evidence. But you described those calls being panicked and distressed a year ago.
That is correct, my lady.
I see. And the phone call, let me rather ask you a question before you. When did you On what occasion did you tell your wife the first time what you've heard about that incident? You went to work and you told your wife the first time when?
The first time I informed her of what happened, what the incident was, that Mr. Oscar Pistorius was involved, was after Mr. Willem Vos returned my phone call and informed me what had happened. And it was also subsequently confirmed by a colleague of mine who had read the first internet report. I then proceeded to call my wife and inform her of what I've heard.
Did you tell? I couldn't hear. Did you tell her during that call?
Yes, at the end of the call that I informed her
So
what I had heard.
At the end of the call, you told her.
That is correct. I asked her to repeat her recollection of the events before I revealed the news that I had.
Then, Mr. Johnson, you also provided a short summary of the facts as you recall the incident in a bullet point format. Is that correct?
That is correct, my lady.
Now, please, as you read it, just mark it 1, 2, 3, and just read it into the record.
Sure. The first point, I got woken up by a woman's screams shortly after 3 a.m. on 14 February 2013. Bullet point number 2. I ran out to the balcony, and while I stood there, heard more screams and calls for help from the same woman. Point number 3. A man also called for help 2 or 3 times in a row. Point number 4. I went back into the house and made a phone call to a security guard room. Point number 5. I made the phone call at 3:16 a.m. on 14 February 2013, and the call lasted for 58 seconds. Point number 6. After the phone call, I went back onto the balcony and heard the woman screaming again, moments before the first shot was fired. Point number 7. The woman continued screaming while the shots were being fired. Point number 8. She still screamed for a second or two after the last shot was fired. And the last point is, I did not hear any further noises from the direction of the house after that.
Good. Mr. Johnson, it was put to you that your notes were designed to incriminate Mr. Pistorius. Can you remember that was put to you?
Yes, my lady, I remember the allegation.
Now, you can take it as a fact that the judgment in the bail application was on 21 February 2013.
My lady, with respect, I did not say that a note was designed to incriminate. That was not a statement made to you. I put designs to him, but not that a note was designed to incriminate.
I'll accept that. It's not important. Let us just carry on.
Well, let withdraw first. It was not designed.
I withdraw. I have a note, but I'm not going to waste the court's time with a long argument. It's not that important. That's good. You can take it as a fact that the bail application, the judgment in a bail application was on the 21st of February 2013.
I accept that.
Your evidence was that you listened to that.
That is correct, my lady.
Did you hear during that judgment how many shots were fired?
Unfortunately, I can't confirm. My memory is a bit vague.
Fine. Before you made this note, did you know how many shots in reality were fired on the night?
Yes, ma'am. My lady, I did know. It became apparent. It was either from the bail court hearing or in online news reports. I followed the proceedings. So somewhere along the lines there, I became aware of that it was 4 shots.
What was your question, Mr. Mayor?
Excuse me, I didn't hear.
What was your question?
My question was, if you knew before you made the notes that there were 4 shots in reality fired, and he said yes, it became apparent.
My lady, that was not a question, with respect.
I'm wrong. I'll rephrase. Did you know before you made the note how many shots were fired?
Yes, I did, my lady.
How many were fired?
I believe it was 4.
Good. Now, if you wanted to incriminate, what would you incriminate the accused unfairly? What would you have done with the paragraph about the shots? If you wanted to be unfair.
If I wanted to be unfair,
Yes.
I'm not sure.
You knew it was 4.
Yes, I knew it was 4 before I made the notes.
Why did you write 4?
Oh, well, that was my first version to my colleagues and also to Willem, was that I did not count the shots, and I wanted my recollection of the events to be accurate, my version, and not influenced by facts that became known to me after the incident.
Good. Lady, there is no further re-examination.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your assistance. You may be excused.
Thank you very much, my lady.
Please support, my lady. I call the next witness, Mr. Johan Stip, number 8 on the list of witnesses. My lady, whilst the witness is on its way, we've obtained an order that his photographs and or audiovisual images not be shown.
Pardon?
We've obtained an order. We've done what we should as far as his photographs and audiovisual images are concerned.
Yes, yes. So you want me to grant the same order that I gave on Monday?
Indeed, my lady.
Yes. It is ordered that no photograph of this witness may be televised or published in any form
As per please.
The witness may be sworn in.
Your language of preference, sir?
Sorry?
Your language of preference?
Oh, English. Thank you.
Your full names, please.
Johan Stefanus Stip.
Juan Stephanus Step, my lady. Do you have any objection in taking the prescribed oath?
No, I don't.
Do you consider it binding to your conscience?
Yes, I do.
If so, do you swear that the evidence you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, lift up your right hand and say, so help me God.
So help me God.
Sworn in, my lady.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stip, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Mr. Stip, what do you do for a living?
I'm a radiologist in private practice here in Pretoria.
Where do you stay?
We live in Silverwoods Estate, just across from Silverwoods. Silverwoods Estate across from Silver Lakes.
From Silver Lakes.
Sorry.
And the accused before court, Mr. Pistorius, do you know him?
I don't know him personally, no. I know of him, but I don't know him.
Now, this matter deals with an incident that took place on the evening of 13 February early morning hours of 14 February. You're aware of that?
Yes, I am.
Now, on the evening of 13 February 2013, were you at home?
Yes, we were.
And you share the house with?
My wife, 3 children, 2 in primary school, 1 high school, and our domestic servant.
And were they all there that evening?
Yes, they were all there.
Now, on the 13th of February, was it a different evening? Anything significant happen?
No, we had quite a normal evening. The kids went to bed at around 8:30. Me and my wife were watching TV series in the room. We went to bed at about 10:30.
And then something happened in the early morning hours.
That's correct, yes.
Please tell the court what you can remember.
I remember that I was awakened by 3 loud bangs. And I remember my wife asking me, what was that? And I said, I think it's gunshots. So I got up out of bed and I walked to the balcony. And as I looked out, trying to ascertain where the shots, whatever it was coming from, I heard screaming. Now, it sounded to me like the voice of a female, and she screamed 3 or 4 times. And when I heard that, I knew there was big problems here. And I went back into the room, I took my phone, and I phoned the security.
Just before you carry on. Unfortunately, we're in court and we would need time frames and how much time lapsed between incidents. Now, between the bangs that woke you up and the screams you've heard, how much time lapsed?
I think a few moments. I heard the scream, I heard the banging, I got up out of bed. As I went outside, I started to hear the screams. So it must have been only a few moments then.
Good. Now, we will carry on with the evidence, but let's just place the court in perspective of your house in relation to the accused house and so forth.
Okay.
You have a file in front of you.
Yes.
Would you mind opening that at Exhibit F? Let us, I want to refer you to photograph 919 first.
Yes.
That's the aerial photograph of your estate, is that correct?
That's right, yes.
Now, is it possible to identify your house on that aerial photograph?
Yes, I can see it.
Could you point it and then we try and describe it for you?
So I can point it here.
Yeah.
It's right there.
The lady points towards a house where you can see a pool.
Yes.
And we'll get closer to it, but if you look at this photograph, almost in the middle of the photograph, just left of center, there's a house and one can see a pool in the background. There's a house marked with a red dot. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Whose house is that?
Well, as I learned later, it was the defendant's house.
The accused in this matter.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No, fine. So it's the accused house. And then to put into perspective your house, it's just behind that to the left. One can see a house with a pool in the background.
That's right.
Just turn the page to 920. There's an arrow indicating Oscar's house, that's the accused house. Can you see your house on the photograph?
Yes, can see it partly. It's that one there.
The one that on the right hand edge of the photograph with the orange roof, the photo roof, that one
Yes.
can see.
Yes.
Next to it, looks like when you look at it, photograph seem to be containers or something.
Yes, that's right.
Let's go to photograph 924. If you see that, what is that?
That is Oscar's house, and the windows that are circled there is the bathroom windows.
Okay. Let us go to 925. That's just the same photograph, am I right?
Yes, those are the same windows.
Okay, let's go to 936. That's your house, just to indicate what it is. 937, the same thing. I think more importantly, would you open at 938? What is that?
That is the view from our bedroom out through the small balcony in the direction of Oscar's house.
So, what is marked with a red arrow there? Can you see that?
Yes, that's right. Those are windows you showed me previously.
Is that the windows one can see at photograph 925?
That's correct.
And that's your main bedroom where you were sleeping?
Yes, that's right.
939. You recognize that?
Yes, it's the same view. The photo is zoomed, same windows, same balcony.
Same balcony. Now, let us just explain to this book. Go to photograph 936.
Yes.
The balcony one can see just above the garage. That window there, that's the main bedroom window that we had on the other photograph.
Yes, that's the reverse angle of the photo you just showed me.
You said you moved to a balcony. To which balcony did you move?
I moved to the big balcony to the right,
On the right.
with the chair standing.
Now, let us just carry on. You moved to the balcony and you heard screams,
Yes.
a woman scream. What did you do when you stood there?
I heard the woman screaming. I tried to ascertain from plus minus where the screams were coming from. It appeared to be coming from the row of houses opposite us. I noted that one of the houses directly opposite us, almost all the lights were on.
Almost all the lights were on.
Almost all the inside lights were on. That's
Okay.
correct. And I went back inside my bedroom, and that's when I picked up my phone.
When you noticed that all the lights were on in the other bedroom, but you see the bathroom windows of the accused house.
The accused house was just to the left of the house I saw. The lights were on, and the bathroom window that you showed me, the light was on. Yes.
So when you looked out, that bathroom window, the light was on.
Yes.
What did you do then?
I went back inside the bedroom, and I phoned the Silverwood security. There was no answer. I think the phone rang quite a few times. They didn't answer, so I phoned 10111. I think the number must be out of order. I got a funny dialing tone. While I was still busy on the phone, thinking what number to dial next, I heard another 3 loud bangs.
What did you think that was?
Well, I thought that whoever shot the first time was starting to shoot again, and I told my wife, get away from the window.
Why?
Well, I thought that if it was shooting, there may be some bullets come flying our way. So I wanted to get out of the way, out of
Yes.
possible harm's way.
What happened then?
I eventually got through to our security, and I spoke to the guard on duty, and he said, so I told him what happened, what I heard, and they must please send someone. And he said, yes, they will. They are just waiting for, I think, a duty manager or something to arrive, and then they will come. During that time, I think I must have been walking around the room, and I found myself outside.
You're talking very
balcony
softly,
again.
Mr.
Oh,
Steve.
sorry. Am I
Yes.
talking too softly? I was busy talking with them on the phone. I put my phone down, and I walked out on the balcony again to see if I can see any movement, anything like that. And that's when I heard a man's voice shouting 3 times, help, help, help. I went back inside the room, and we were waiting for the security guards to arrive.
Yes.
They arrived a few minutes later in a white bakkie. There were 3 security guards, and I told them that from the row of houses opposite us there were shots and screaming, and I think they must go and investigate.
You were
They-
talking from them. Where were you?
Oh, I was still upstairs in our room, because we were talking from the balcony. We're talking to them down on the street level.
Okay.
So they got in their car and they drove around in the direction of the row of houses. I went out on the other balcony again, watching them as they went. And as I was standing there, I looked up again towards where the lights were on and the noises where it came from. And I noticed that someone was moving in the bathroom through the window from the right to the left.
Which bathroom window was that now?
It was the bathroom of the accused house.
And the condition of the light?
Well, it looked the same as before. There weren't any more lights on. It was just the one.
The lights were on there.
Yeah.
And you saw somebody move in the bathroom.
Yes, I got a distinct impression of a person moving from the right to the left.
As you look at the window.
Yes.
Do you see anything else?
No.
What did you do there?
I went back inside my bedroom, and my wife and I had a discussion about should I go to see what was going on. I said, I think I should, because there may be children involved. Maybe it was a family tragedy where a parent shot the family. We have kids ourselves, so we don't want anyone else's kids to get hurt. So I dressed, and I first drove down to security just to find out if it was safe to go to the house.
And then what happened?
I spoke to the guard there at the guardhouse, and he said, yes, I can go. Mr. Stander is there, and it should be fine. I don't know Mr. Stander, but if he was there, I guess it's safe for me to go. So I drove back. I followed the crescent, and there was a car in the road on the left, opposite Oscar's house. I parked behind that car. I got out.
Just before you go on, when you got to that house, did you know who was staying there? Whose house that was?
No,
Not at all.
not at all, no.
Okay.
I got out the car. There was a man talking on the cell phone, standing against the white BMW in the driveway, and he motioned me towards the front door. So I went towards the front door. There was a lady standing in the door, and I said, I'm a doctor. Can I maybe be of assistance? Can I help? And then she said yes, and she showed me inside to the bottom of the stairs where there was a lady lying on her back on the floor.
Okay, just a moment. Yes, what happened then?
I went nearer, and as I bent down, I also noticed a man on the left kneeling by his side. He had his left hand on the right groin and his right hand, 2 fingers in the mouth.
Okay.
You have to speak a little louder than that.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
As I approached the lady, there was a man on his knees on the left side. He had his left hand on the right groin and his right hand's 2nd and 3rd fingers in her mouth. And I remember the first thing he said when I got there was that he said, "I shot her. I thought she was a burglar and I shot her."
Okay. You have the exhibit in front of you. There's a file. Can you open that at Exhibit E? You're at F at the moment.
Oh.
Turn to photograph 132 in that album, please. This won't be showed on the monitor.
What exhibit?
132 is Exhibit E, my lady.
Yes. Yes, you may proceed.
As it pleases. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Does that look familiar?
Yes, that is the lady that I tried to assist.
And in terms of her position?
Unchanged, except for the head lying to the left. When I arrived, it was straight up. I think because Oscar tried to open an airway.
But as far as she was lying there, it's exactly where you found her.
Yes.
We just turn the page. Did you see that?
Yes, it's still the same person. Position also the same.
So, what did you do then? You got there, you saw this person, and what happened there?
Okay, well, the next thing I did was I tried to assist her. So I tried to open the airway and to look for any signs of life. She had no pulse in her neck. She had no peripheral pulse. She had no breathing movements that she made. She was clenching down on Oscar's fingers as he was trying to open her airway. I tried to do a jaw lift maneuver to open the airway. It was very difficult with the clenching down. And all during that time, there wasn't any signs of life that I could see. I opened her right eyelid. The pupil was fixed, dilated, and the cornea was milky. In other words, it was already drying out. So to me it was obvious that she was mortally wounded. I looked at the rest of her body, and I noted that she had a wound in the right thigh, also a wound in the right upper arm. As I looked further, I saw there was blood and hair and what looked like brain tissue intermingled with that to the right, high parietal area of her skull.
And is that what one can see on paragraph 133?
Yes, that's right. On the top of the skull, that's where I saw the brain tissue and the blood.
Yes, and then what happened?
Well, during that time, while I was trying to ascertain if she is revivable, Oscar was crying all the time. He prayed to God to please let her live. She must not die. He said at one stage while he was praying that he will dedicate his life and her life to God if she would just only live and not die that night. When I saw that, I couldn't do anything for her because I thought when I arrived there, maybe if you can just hold down a wound or stop bleeding, that could help. But she was way too seriously injured for that. I went outside, and Mr. Stander was outside, and I asked him, is the ambulance on its way? And he said, no, hasn't called the ambulance yet. So I took my phone, and I phoned the Wilgers Hospital emergency department, and I asked them to send an ambulance. And they said, sorry, you have to phone ER 911, one of those ambulance centres, which Mr. Stander then duly did. And I remember...
Just a moment.
Okay.
So Mr. Stander phoned, and then?
Mr. Stander phoned, I think it was Netcare 911 that he phoned. And he handed me the phone. I spoke to the dispatcher, described what happened, and the nature of the injuries, and I'm sure proceeded to send out an ambulance.
And were you still there when the ambulance arrived?
I didn't leave. I went back inside the house periodically to check if, how things were going. Her condition obviously didn't change much. Oscar stayed by his side most of the time. I remember at one stage while I was outside, I was talking to Mr. Stander, and I noticed that Oscar was going up the stairs. And I asked Mr. Stander if he knew where the gun was, because it was obvious that Oscar was emotionally very, very upset. And I didn't know the situation in the house, so I thought maybe he was going to hurt himself. And Mr. Stander said he didn't know where the gun was. A few minutes later, Oscar returned down the stairs.
You referred to Oscar now. On
Yes.
that night, did you know who that person was?
I didn't know it was Oscar Pistorius, but Mr. Stander talked about Oscar. But when we were looking for a house in the estate agent pointed us out a house, and she said, Oscar Pistorius lives there, which was a totally different house. So in my mind, I was not in Oscar Pistorius' house.
Okay. You said you saw Mr. Pistorius, the accused go upstairs and then downstairs again. What happened after that?
Well, I was outside. I was talking to Mr. Stander. At one stage, I think his wife arrived. Mr. Stander's daughter was also on the scene at that time. So we were talking. I don't really remember the specifics about what we were talking about. Only that they were concerned about what happened And I think especially Mr. Stonder's wife said that she hopes this doesn't get out to the papers. Then the ambulance arrived a short while after that. I think it was the quick response car was first, and then the ambulance. They rushed by. I said, Mr. Stander, I'm of no use further to anyone. We exchanged numbers, and I got to my car and I drove back home.
And when you got back home,
When I got back home, my wife said, what happened? And I told her what happened, and we didn't discuss it really. I just told her, you know, what my what I saw, what I did, and yes, we tried to get some rest after that. But at about 4:17 thereabouts, my phone rang, and was Mr. Stander just notifying me that Oscar's lawyer may be calling me due to the incident.
now, Mr. Stipp, how did it come about that you made a statement to the police?
Well, the next morning, I went to work as usual, and my wife phoned me at about 9 o'clock or so, and she said, you know, the lady that was shot this morning.
Your
was
voice
actually
is
Oscar
getting softer and softer
Oh.
again.
My wife phoned at about 9 o'clock that morning, on the 14th, and she said, you know the lady that was shot this morning? It turns out to actually be Oscar Pistorius' girlfriend, and that you were in Oscar Pistorius' house. And I was very surprised because I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I thought because Mr. Stander had my phone number that he would actually tell the police, come to me because I was on the scene, take a statement. Nothing happened. No one came back to me that day. I thought that a bit strange. So the next day, I decided I will just go down to the security gate as we go out, and I spoke to the security estate manager, Mr. St. Ledger Denny, and I asked him, can he give me a number maybe of a police officer that I can just phone, just to tell them, listen, I was at the scene, I may be able to help and give a statement.
Yes, what happened there?
A police officer came to our rooms at the radiology department, the mammography unit where I work. During working hours at around 12 o'clock, it was Detective Constable Ross, a lady. She was assisted by a colleague, a male, I'm not sure what his name is, and she took down my statement.
After that, did you make any other statements?
Yes, I did. A few months later to Captain...
You've now forgotten name. If you point him, I could perhaps help you.
right next to your colleague.
It's Captain van Aert, Marie.
Sorry, Captain van Aert, Mike van Aert.
How did that happen? What happened there?
What happened after my second statement?
When Captain van Aert took down your statement, you take us through that.
Well, he arrived at our house. It was in the afternoon. He swore me in before he took the statement, and then I relayed the events as best as I could recollect.
Good. Doctor, the accused have got a version about the events, and I just want to go through one or two things with you. Now, when you heard the first, as you described, bang, 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 what did you think that was?
I thought those were gunshots.
Now, what is your experience with guns?
My experience with guns. I was in the army for 2 years at Voortrekkerhoogte in the military division in SAMS from, let's say, 93, 94. And during that time, we did have weapons training on the R5 assault rifle and the 9mm pistol.
And after that?
After that, no, not at all.
Now, when you got to the balcony and you heard the scream of a woman, you said?
Yes, that's right.
That was, in terms of events, moments after the shots were fired.
It was moments after, yes.
And at that time, did you notice if the lights in the bathroom was on or off?
The lights were on.
I didn't get the answer.
The lights were on,
On.
yes.
Now, after the first screams, you went back into your house to make a call.
That's right.
Can you recall having heard further screams?
Not while in the house. What I can say is that initially, when I was outside on the balcony and I heard the woman scream, and I think I also mentioned this to Captain van Aert, I thought I could hear a bit softer also a man's voice that was also screaming, but I was not sure. And I did not include that in my written statement.
Well, could that have been the same voice? What was your view?
Well, the pitch was lower than the other voice I heard. So it could sound like two different voices.
And you heard a man shout, help, help, help.
Yes, that was when I was in the house and I was phoning. As I went out onto the balcony again, I heard the man distinctly shout, help, help, help.
In the time that you were at the house, did the police not arrive at the Pistorius house?
And the ambulance arrived. The police did arrive, but I left the scene by that time.
Now, your bedroom window, is that open or closed?
It's not really windows, it's doors.
Doors.
And yes, because it's quite hot, both are open. On my wife's side, and then the big door towards the big balcony is open.
Okay, we'll have to explain to the court. Your wife's side is towards the photograph with the curtains. We saw photograph number. I'll get to it now. (938). If we go to 938 and you say the windows towards your wife's side, is that what we can see there?
Yes, it's actually a door that's open.
And that was open,
Yes,
as well as towards the main balcony where you went.
That's right.
We're looking at
Yes.
the correct photograph.
Yes, go to 9:38, please. Yes, my lady. Shall we just explain to court that door over there? That is what you refer to as the door on your wife's side.
That's right. Yes.
And if one looks at the photograph 9:36, one can see the doors to your wife's side there above the garage.
That's right. Yes. Where the
And
arrow is.
on the right hand side of that there's another balcony,
That's correct.
and and those doors.
Yes, that is the one I was referring to. That's the one I came in and out of. And that's why the chair is there, to prop open the door. Otherwise, it just swings shut during the night.
Now, whilst you said you made the calls and you heard further loud sounds, am I right?
That's right.
What did that sound?
Well, it was also 3 sounds, 3 loud bangs. And I also thought that those must be shots. That's why I told my wife to get away from her side of the balcony. Because I thought that if there was any more shooting, that some of those bullets may be coming our way.
Now, is it possible for you to indicate to the court the time difference between the sounds that you heard on the second occasion?
First 3 bangs, second 3 bangs.
On the second occasion, there were 3 bangs.
Yes.
Can you give the time difference between bang 1, bang 2, bang 3? What did it sound like?
Well, it was like right on top of each other. Bang, bang, bang.
Milady, my timing is immaculate every day. 5 to 1. I'm almost done with the witness. May I, like in previous days, ask that we take, I think it's 5 to now, Milady. It's 10 to again. Can we do 10 to 2?
We'll take our lunch break. Court will adjourn.